Here's what always intrigues me about the ending of The Locket. Did Nancy manipulate her return to the place where all her troubles began, or is it merely a fateful coincidence? Well, tell me what you think over on the Noir Alley social media feeds. It's the sort of distinction that's crucial to a noirista. What drives a character to ruin? The twisted machinations of the human mind, or the cruel vagaries of fate? Hey, there's a discussion that'll fit snugly into a social media post. Stories in which a person's destiny is determined by a traumatic childhood event were all the rage in the 1940s. In fact, 3 of them were released around the same time: Spellbound, The Strange Love of Martha Ivers, and The Locket. One reason for this, of course, was that psychoanalysis had taken hold of the movie colony, particularly among writers and actors. Ben Mankiewicz's Uncle Joe was one of Hollywood's leading proponents of using psychoanalysis to enhance creativity. And this was the case with the writer of The Locket, Norma Barsman, who'd been in analysis for years before tackling this story. Her husband, Ben Barsman, was a reporter turned screenwriter with a couple of credits already under his belt. While vacationing in Mexico, they met a woman named Belle Gardner, an East Coast blue blood who had abandoned her aristocratic family over an incident just like the one in The Locket. The daughter of the family's housekeeper was falsely accused of stealing. Her mother was fired, and the girl, who was Belle's closest friend, suffered a steady slide into kleptomania and depression. The story haunted Norma, so she set about turning it into her first screenplay. Maybe because it was her first, she had no qualms about creating a complex, spiraling narrative that linked the flashbacks of 3 separate characters. Although Sheridan Gibney received sole credit for the screenplay, all he really did, at the request of producer Burt Granite, was shift the wartime section of the story to England. Otherwise, it's entirely Norma Barsman's script. And several years ago, she finally won the right to have her name reapplied to the film. Norma, along with her husband, were both blacklisted during the 1950s, moving to Europe to continue their careers. She died in December 2023 at the age of 103. German-born Hans Brahm is one of the more neglected of the many directors who continued their careers in Hollywood after escaping life under the Third Reich. His father, Ludwig Brahm, was a popular comedic actor, and his uncle Otto was a theater producer credited with discovering Max Reinhardt. To me, Brahm is one of those directors who could rightly be called an auteur, because no matter what the material, he brought to bear a visual style filled with ominous shadows and a sense of foreboding. His films have a menacing mood that often smeared the line between horror and noir. You can always get into a good argument over whether The Lodger and Hangover Square, made back-to-back by Brahm at Fox, are horror movies or film noir. Something else to discuss on social media. Next week on Noir Alley, Barry Sullivan plays an attorney pulling insurance scams in No Questions Asked, co-starring Arlene Dahl and Gene Hagen. It features a lot of clever twists, including one of the most surprising robberies you'll ever see in these parts. So be sure to join me again next week, right here at Bar 355 in Oakland. I will be waiting in the shadows.